Welcome back to the Sacred Business Mastery Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I have a wonderful colleague here with us today, and we are going to have a beautiful conversation about the state of the aesthetics profession. Welcome, Amy. I'm thrilled that you're here. You've been in this industry for a long time. I think we've been in probably a similar amount of years. How long have you been in this industry?
Well, thank you, Kirsten, for having me on your podcast. And I'm so thrilled to be here. And I have been a licensed esthetician for 20 years, 2005.
And so a lot has happened in the past 20 years. I think I'm clocking in at like just over 30 years now. I got in right at the whisper stage of the whole day spa concept. Like there wasn't really anything out there yet. So yes, we have seen a lot of shifts and a lot of changes and a lot of pivots and a lot of left turns in this industry. So I feel like we have a lot of validity in kind of our observations over the years. And you and I we had a chat earlier in the month, and we had a virtual tea, and we wanted to kind of get together because we both have been working very heavily in on the topic and around energetics and the beauty industry. I've been working on with the energetics and business strategy. You've been like on the pointy end of the stick for a long time about beauty, skin, and the energetics of skin. So let's start off this conversation with a little bit of background about like your perspective on as a skin therapist in this industry now. Where have you gone to?
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, it's kind of hard to know where to actually go, but I think that it's important to note that what really happened in my journey was that I was doing mirror rituals with looking at the back of my shampoo bottle and reading Transcendental Meditation and Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life in the 80s when I was like 14 years old.
Mhm.
So I always was interested in marketing. I was raised on a hippie commune. I did not have to have TV. I had a glamorous grandmother. So it was like, my mom was a nutritionist teaching me I had to read the back of every single label. So from the very early age, I was trying to combine consciousness with beauty.
Mhm.
And I actually did, I just became somebody who everybody always wanted to know what I thought was good. And I just had my pulse on beauty and marketing from a very early age. It just was like a natural thing. So I went into the hospitality industry after that in my teens and my 20s and worked at the high level in the California organic food movement for a pretty famous restaurateur. So then had an education again about high quality ingredients, learned a lot about the laws behind certified organic and all of the greenwashing that can happen, and just about having really high standards for creating experiences and hospitality. I became an esthetician when I had topped out on my creative ability at the restaurant, right? I was just like in my early 30s and I felt all this creativity coming through me. And I thought, oh, I was always that girl that people want to know what kind of lip gloss I had. I will become a makeup artist because I live in a destination place in Northern California called Mendocino. There was wedding industry had just started. So I thought, this is a great place, great way I can stay in my tiny town, raise my son, because I was in my first marriage had separated and I needed to be in the same town as the father of my child. So I thought, I'll do this. So the minute I became an esthetician was twofold. Number one, I knew I had a gift the minute I touched somebody's skin. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I am really good at this. And I'm scientific. I have a scientific mind for things. The other thing happened was if I just recently wrote down sort of a business obituary for myself and like talking about the things that I had done. And it was actually pretty poignant because I also was sort of embroiled in like the beauty school. I was used to working at a very high level with colleagues that really loved and appreciated me. And my very first beauty businesses were really bad experiences
Mm.
with backstabbing, cattiness, and just low value behavior all the way around. But I didn't have words for that then. I just thought, well, it must be me, it must be me. So I was just sort of like a people-pleasing person who tried to do the very best job, who had a lot of really good ideas for the small town, and eventually kind of burned out when I was doing a hair and makeup agency and had a day spa with a hair salon and a bunch of employees that I was actually having as real employees, not the independent contracting
Mhm.
thing that is so prevalent. And I just really took it seriously. I really wanted to take it the whole way. But what happened was a big life upset came along. And I realized part of the life upset was a personal life upset where my husband got sick. And then the second part of that life set, like the wake up call was that I had fallen into what I call the downward beauty value spiral. So I was now in my early 40s, and I, of course, let the nurse practitioner in my town who wanted to start doing Botox start giving me Botox because she wanted to get in with my clientele. And I looked in the mirror one day, and one eyebrow was high and one eyebrow was low, and all the skin was bunching up around my eyes. And I
Ugh.
thought to myself, oh my God, I need to get this blepharoplasty that everybody keeps talking about. So I found myself in the office of a plastic surgeon who said, yes, I was a fantastic candidate for eyelid surgery, and handed me a proposal for $8,000. And I was stunned. I took it from her and I said I would be in touch. And I went and sat in my car, and I just thought something clicked in me. And I thought, no, no, it's the Botox that's making my eyes push down. They didn't say that. They didn't even, she didn't even say that could be a possibility.
Wow.
And I thought, if I look around, and I always, from a young age, studying lots of consciousness practices, being on the commune and all, having transcendental meditation be introduced to you when you're like 9 years old, I thought I already knew that this was my movie. So I thought to myself, self, why are you in this situation with all of this drama? Why this is you're the captain of your destiny here. What is happening here? So I just really decided to pare down and slow down and shut the whole spa down and move to a she shed that my husband made me on my property. And it was there that essentially what happened was twofold. I manifested, I say the word manifest just because people understand that, but I self-created an opportunity to be mentored by the formulator who discovered the peptide for the
Mhm.
skincare industry. And during that time, I was really able to learn everything about the back end and the dirty side of the professional skincare industry because he makes products for some of the big brands, and also
Ooh.
he manufactures raw ingredients for everybody in the world. So I really became an expert in everybody's product line, was helping him launch his product line, and I joined the Skin Games at that time. So the Skin Games was it was the first season. I am the Kelly Clarkson of the Skin Games. That was another manifest story. But I decided if I was going to get the best results and win this contest, which I already knew I was the winner, I was going to have to do more than help her get rid of her wrinkles. I was going to have to get her involved and enrolled with her home care practice. So I essentially reverse engineered the thing I had created when I was 14 years old and called it the I am ritual. The I is for ingredients with illumination and imagination, and the A is affirmation and awareness and acknowledgement and appreciation, and the M was massage and mindset and mirror work.
Oh, I love it.
And I pulled it all together, and I created like this daily, nightly, weekly thing for her for the 8 weeks. And so I did that because I had the space that I was in my she shed, and I was getting angelic Reiki certified, and I was getting all the downloads, and I was playing the skin like a violin, and I was like, okay, something different is happening here. So that is just essentially what, because I live in such a rural area, I started getting on the internet and doing MSN message boards before Facebook. So I just started creating this incredible network of experts around the world. So then when I won the Skin Games and I knew that I had something special with the IM, I created my own product line. I started doing a Shopify website. I started doing virtual. I did the world's first facial in a box in 2018. I was ahead of the curve on the biggest trend to hit beauty, but I didn't let it stop there. And I didn't just sell products. I then reverse engineered a whole quantum beauty modality because I started understanding these whole layers of how like reality worked. And so that is my whole story as fast as I could tell it. But the whole time I will say I just have a gift for visioning with industry. And I have seen, I was saying that the skincare industry was going to go through a big change before 2 years before COVID. I was training some estheticians at that time, kind of reluctantly because I didn't feel like I had the whole thing quite yet, and I
Yeah,
do now.
yeah.
But I remember saying, like, as soon as because what happened was when the internet came, we lost the title of skin expert in the eyes of the consumer
Hmm.
to some degree. Now, that's brushing a wide brush across, that's a generalization, but I just started to see like, oh, I was pouring into this professional brand, pouring everything into them, telling my clients about them, turning on everybody to it. And then they would just go direct to the consumer and sell to my
Right.
people that I had nurtured. And then when I did the facial in a box, which estheticians were horrified about. They were like, you're going to release like a full professional protocol to your client with the tools and everything that we use in the back bar. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it because I think that's where we're going. Because I realized that the esthetician, we are the consumer to the professional industry people. And then
Mm.
they've been lying to us about all these things like bad science, getting us to say things like over-the-counter skincare is things that you pick up off the shelf when really OTC, especially in the United States, means regulated drug. So we've onboarded some like bad science, some bad wrong
And
ideas,
misinformation.
misinformation. They've told us that our products are better than everything else you can get, which in a lot of cases is true, but not always. Then just the greenwashing, the misinformation, I realize, oh, we are their consumer. I want to just go direct to consumer. But then I just realized that, wow, well, it's not even realized we can talk about it, and I'll stop talking here in a second. But the consumer is just really, she's savvy now. She's got
Oh
YouTube.
yeah.
She watches. She knows she has an LED light mask at home, and how do we, I felt like the esthetician industry was dying on one hand, but actually it's growing by $1 trillion every year. It's just that we're losing market share because we are undifferentiated. We use words like holistic and spiritual with absolutely no backing. We are holding on to old science, and we are stuck in the face waitress model. Sorry, everybody. I know that's a gets you in the gut, but when we allow our client to place an order off of a menu, we do not position ourselves as the guide, and we're letting them tell us what they need when they don't even know what they need because we haven't really learned how to get to that bottom thing of like what that core desire of like what's happening, what is this better looking skin going to do for her? So that's
Well, and I think estheticians are still kind of learning as well. Like they're kind of cluing there's a group of estheticians who are cluing in. They're like,
no, there's a big people, and I think that a lot of estheticians were healers, right? We didn't
yes. And it was
acknowledge
kind
that
of,
we were.
yeah, and aesthetics was kind of a way for us to share our healing
Yes.
skills. It just happened to be through aesthetics. It could have been through hair, it could have been through nursing. It just happened to be aesthetics. And so I totally agree with you. It's attracted a lot of healers. And then on, all that kind of baggage that comes with being a healer, as far as like the old stuff about if you're really a healer, you don't charge for it, like all of the
Yes.
garbage.
The
And
witch wound.
yes,
The
of
witch,
that. Yeah,
we
it
have
is
a,
a witch wound
yeah.
of like, of not have the, not knowing your true worth and value as a healer. And I think that's starting to shift. And
I,
so was it last week? Yeah, last week after our conversation, you posted on Facebook about let's have a heart to heart, estheticians. Um, you're hearing and you're feeling like the aesthetics industry, the spa industry is dying. There is a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of small solo businesses, there's lots of team businesses, there's so many. Some probably shouldn't be in business, but that's just is really all just to say like it's there's a lot and it's consumers are shifting and changing and having different wants and needs, but as the professional, we're wanting more than just the superficial stuff that our skincare companies
Oh
give,
yeah.
right? So I think like both of us agree that we're in a shift right now. We're in a paradigm shift for our industry, and I think a lot of estheticians have been feeling it, but it's kind of been pre-verbal. They don't actually know how to name it.
Absolutely. And then we have the, depending on, I know Canada's different than the United States, and then the United States, every state is also different, but depending on what our license says we can and cannot do, we get sort of capped out on if we can give nutrition advice or if we can bring in like, our life coaching certification or our subconscious reprogramming or our meditation
Yeah.
skills or all the different things. And I think a lot of them that I'm talking to are gifted in all these different ways, but are struggling to sort of position it as really valuable in the eyes of the consumer because the consumer ultimately is just really confused, overstimulated, and we've all been burned. I mean, so I work at the beauty belief level a lot with my clients, whether it's esthetician or consumers, and truth. Do you believe that most beauty marketing is BS? It's like, yeah, like we don't believe when Clinique tells us we can have a 300% increase in the depth of like, and they do
Blah
all
blah 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 blah.
it just people are just sort of numb to it. And then the biohackers and the wellness coaches and just the kind of that new sort of, nervous system relaxation coach and sleep coach and you
The
know
perimenopausal coaches and
the
like yeah,
perimenopausal coach, like the B school, whoever that lady is, she just
Marie
helped,
Forleo.
like Marie Forleo, she just put out like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of coaches who are telling some of the same things that we do, but they don't have a license to hold them back from what they can actually advise, and they act and they guide their clients through like transformation. So I think that the paradigm shift is just fantastic for those estheticians who are willing to pivot, still do facials, could still do all the things that you
Mhm.
do. It's just about finding different language and different brand positioning. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and
like
how about,
what makes you different than, and that's what positioning means. What makes you
yeah.
different than the spa or the skin therapy clinic down the road?
And then positioning is also whether you're a technician or a guide.
Yes. Yeah. And this stuff is all quite new in terms of like layering it over top of a beauty business that most spa professionals, wellness professionals, skincare professionals, they're not marketers, they're not copywriters, they're not writers, period. And so they've always really struggled with how to communicate what they do. They can do what they do with like effortless, but like it's the communication part to the rest of the world through our marketing that they really struggle with finding the right like how to word this without it sounding weird. Like people are gonna just think I'm weird, or how do I make it sound like it's not so vague?
Well, I love this, and that's where your work with the numerology comes in. And I got so much out of our chat about me being a 4 and my soul client being an 8, and just how it makes sense. I like to do very technical carousels that could lead through a whole thing. I'm a builder. I like to write long blog posts that nobody reads about things. I
That are step by step, like
like step by
that's
step.
part of your code.
I like technicality. But I think that if I can just give a little takeaway to the listener right now, so that she can start working on this right now, this because I just got off a coaching call with one of my light lift participants, one of my light lift luminaries, and what we talked about is, instead of like unlock and awaken and all these like AI words that are like garbage fast food words now, if we can get down to the root of what we do, what is the big result that we transform? So even though I have a spiritual quantum framework for everything that I do, when I speak to my soul client, I say things like, I help you release up to 10 visible years without inflammatory products, practices, or procedures. Even though there's so much more than that, I meet her right where she's at.
And where, yeah, like how she understands her
Yeah,
skin,
and what she
the
actually,
impact.
her pre-verbal of like maybe it could only be verbal that I want to look younger when I look in the mirror, even though I don't think a goal of looking younger is where she ultimately wants to
No,
go.
yeah,
I
it's
can
not about looking more youthful. It's just feeling better.
It's feeling better, but the releasing of the 10 years is very tangible. Another thing is we talked about on the call was a doctor that she works with who bridges Eastern and Western medicine to create modern miracles, like, or not even modern, but miracles. So it's Eastern and Western medicine. You get a miracle. For her, we helped her define that she helps her clients turn their light back on because she's
Mm.
an energy clinic as well as doing aesthetics. So marketing can be very, very easy too if you can just come up with just even just that result.
And know how to say it. And that's, I know
It's
that's one of
simple.
the, yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the the beautiful things about your light lift program is that it it does have the practical tactical skills. And you also are including that like brand essence and the copywriting, like how to actually say things, because it's really difficult to find somebody who understands skin therapy, the quantumness of skin, like all, like the specialty training that you do, and then to go to find somebody, a marketer, a marketing strategist who knows that thing and how to actually
Yeah.
communicate it would be very
Well,
challenging to find. So
here's
the fact that
another
you
way.
wrapped it
Here's
up
an,
is awesome.
here's another way that I wrap it up. I help you with your face. I transform your face, the face of your brand, and how you face the world. So I've got the face in there. I didn't, so back to remember when I was a teenager, when I told you that I was a hippie kid and I didn't get
Yeah.
TV. So I knew all of the jingles. And I had a club when I was like 11 where the girls would have to take a magazine ad, fold it up, and we would have a tissue box and you put the magazine ads and then everybody had to pick it out and then recreate the jingle. Okay. So I love the idea that our business entity has a consciousness.
Hmm.
So the brand is a natural extension because it's the virtual, like our rooms, our rooms are so fancy now. We know how to do spot interior design. We
Oh
know
yeah.
the pampas grass and the mirrors and all the chimes and crystals and all the things. But your website is also that. When that kind of clicked for me, and the other big shift that with branding that I made, well, I'm techie just in general. My son's a software engineer, and I just the minute the
Your
internet was,
brain,
I was
yeah,
just like, I love it.
your ruling number four code in numerology loves that like step by step
Yes.
process. So that's why you are good at tech.
Love tech. And so when I realized that the website is never done, that's a kind of a mic drop
Aha
moment.
moment.
Because a lot of times people are like, we just have to get a new website. And then they set it and forget it and never look at it again. I am on my website every single day,
Same.
looking at words, turning things on,
Yep.
turning things off, looking at the apps, cleaning things up and looking at it. It's a living, breathing virtual entity. And it just gets really fun to do business that way because clients come from out of the blue. You just start becoming aligned with what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And then all of the technical jargony words that we use and phrases, then we can start kind of grounding those into like, oh yeah, that is
Hmm.
actually something that I do. I'm working in this way. And then when confidence rises, but I think circling back to something you said about not knowing how to market, I think the other thing is that social media is, we all have a love-hate relationship with it. And not all of us, especially if we're healers that are highly sensitive and magical, that spend a lot of time in the back of a dark room behind a
Yeah.
bed,
Yeah.
out and doing social selling to meet new clients or to like put a little imprint is really hard. So that's why the light lift, a lot of it is just giving the frameworks and the language,
Hmm.
just saying, here it is, adjust it like a pattern, like a dress, cut
Yeah.
it, put your new material on it. But
So I don't think we really explained your take your methodology up with skincare. Can you explain a little bit about how your belief system works with your skin therapy? Like
Okay, okay, yeah,
how, yeah.
let's talk about it. I'm tempted to teach a little bit about the three mirrors, which explains a lot, but essentially what I realized through my wake-up call when I was being told that I needed an eyelid surgery, that the beauty practitioners around me did not have my best interests at heart. They were having their best interests at heart because they were selling Botox and surgeries. And so what I started doing was reversing that in my own clientele and only doing what was in the best interest of my client. So, I already knew that it wasn't just more products that was going to get her there. She needed to change her lifestyle at home, and we
Mhm.
needed to get past the beauty beliefs that were
Mhm.
blocking her from actually seeing the changes on her skin. So
Right.
my philosophy and the light lift is really based on three pillars. It's skin intelligence, worked for the formulator, award-winning esthetician. I'm a stone cold skin expert, wading through, I don't, some people can like to do peels and microdermabrasion. Some people can like to do barrier repair. Whatever you choose, that's your skin intelligence that works for your soul client. As many people we have on earth, that's how many skin types we have. I don't believe in skin types. It's a marketing framework. So just that's the skin part. Then energy. If we don't have cellular energy, if we don't have like energy hygiene for us, very
Yeah.
big brand, your treatment room and changing in between clients and cleansing your energy. We don't know how to do energy hygiene. We don't understand that doing our skincare in the bathroom at the end of a long day with the toilet lid open and messy sink and a cloudy mirror is actually hurting us. The energy illumination, the fact that the mitochondria are the cellular energy, that the LED light feeds the mitochondria, that there's all sorts of things that we can do, sunlight that we can do to increase that. So that's an energy pillar. And then the third pillar is, I think, could revolutionize the entire beauty industry. And the reason why it probably won't right away is that, this was something that was discovered actually in the 1960s by a plastic surgeon. So back in the 60s, surgeries were happening for cleft palates and really big noses and chins, but it wasn't necessarily like the aesthetic thing that it is now, but it was still people getting surgeries. And a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz discovered that some of his clients were seeing big results and some weren't, and some were actually not even getting results.
Hmm.
So he discovered that it's our self-image, also known as the upper limit, that is in control of all of the results. Dun, 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 dun. Our subconscious has a boss, and there's an actual image attached to it. And over time, I started realizing that these are all mirrors, that we look in a physical mirror, that we look in the mirror of other people's perceptions. We try to match a standard. We try to look beautiful in other people's eyes, but all the while forgetting that there's this self-image, it's like a forgotten doll in the back of the closet that has all of these ideas about how she can look, how much money she can have, how much joy she can have, how much ease she can have, how life is going to go for her, and how she looks. A lot of that is set with epigenetic patterning from the mother and the grandmother. So I started like working with my clients on that level, and
Right.
then things started really changing because I was getting like some crazy, amazing results.
Wow.
And that's when I broke free from mainstream beauty and basically I've been doing this one-to-one with clients for the last 3 years. And in the last spring, I released the Light Lift. It's called the Light Lift as an energetic facelift program. And it was a big success financially and professionally. But the two women that got the very best results that I had the most fun working with
Mm.
were other estheticians. And so I thought, if you really say you have this big mission, and if you really have other people's best interests at heart, and you're not making money the signifier, who can help you move this mission out? And who needs this information more than ever? Who needs to learn how to develop high touch luxury relationships with people, not fake luxury, but the kind of luxury that is like you can't even buy anymore, which is presence and guidance and somebody who has your best interests at heart. Introduce them to all of the things that I've done and to let them carry it forth so that I can start creating a bigger morphic field and ripple effect throughout the world. So the program is really starts with the esthetician learning my ritual for herself,
Hmm.
having the experience for
And
herself.
that is just, it's so good. So you and I, when we were chatting, having our virtual tea, and I was sharing with you a bit about numerology, and I was telling you that 2025 is a universal nine energy year, and it's the year of the inner guru. It's a year for all of us to go inward and start trusting what we truly know. So I love that you're starting your program with that because the esthetician has to be the client first to experience all that
She
in
has
order to
to,
kind of go through that hero's journey or
and she
heroine's
needs
journey,
to
right?
know that she needs to know that it's possible. I mean, so the one esthetician was into working esthetician, and I coach her one-to-one in her brand. That's Holly from Goddess Yoga International, but she was an esthetician, so she got it very deeply. And
Hmm.
the other was a celebrity esthetician named Monica from New York City, who's working on like Broadway people and doing things in the Hamptons. And she's working on a Vogue editor right now. So Light Lift is probably going to get into Vogue in the next 6 months, and
Nice.
then everything will change, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know. But the bottom line is her whole life changed. People said she looked 20 years younger. She got her mojo back. And she was a longtime spiritual leader herself. She said
Mm.
she goes to ashram. She's from Ireland. She's been working with the water and the well and all the things. And
So
it
it's not
just
like spirituality was new to her, and this was just like,
no,
oh, this is a new
no,
thing. Like
it
this.
just is the working at the self-image level and in the quantum mirror is
Mm.
a game changer.
Oh, I'm so excited about the work that you are doing.
And you're a bonus for everybody because I need to bring this. I'm creating this new coalition, is I guess is the word. It's like I don't have to be the number one who knows everything and has all the good ideas. It's like I want to present this to the group and then bring in women like you because what a game changer. I've even told a couple people about it and I want to connect you with them
Mm.
that if you are a certain number, don't try to go do posts like mine. Don't think that you're
It,
going to be you
it'll
should.
feel wrong. It'll feel like like you'll be like, oh my God, this is taking me forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so don't try. I'm not trying to put out a bunch of little mini Amy's. Like I want to support, and that's the big nuance in this program that I don't know people are fully understanding, is I am giving my framework for light lift and exactly how to do it. And I do think calling it light lift will end up being powerful for the
Mhm.
people who certify because when we get in Vogue and things like that, it'll
Yeah.
create this huge all of this buzz, but everybody is going to be putting it under their own branded soul service and
Hmm.
creating a really standout, energetic brand where people are like, oh, and when
And one that really works with their own code. So it's
with
not
their
just like
code.
this cookie cutter
Yeah.
certification that everybody gets.
Well, and I want to, sorry, my whole brain is just moving so fast, but there's one thing I want to circle back to that I keep wanting to circle back to in every conversation I have like this. And it goes back to that Facebook post you're referencing. One of the biggest things that we're doing that's causing us a lot of pain is we're highlighting other people's brands way too much.
Mm.
We are DMK certified, no hate to them, they're fantastic. Or we have a um the the spray thing, the
Oh,
hydrofacial,
yeah.
or we do this, we're
The
certified
is it like microcell or like the
we're pro
procell?
cell, or we're this cell, or we're that cell, or we have this jet plasma, or we have do this, and we use their brands because yes, sometimes we can get some buzz off of it.
Hmm.
But more often than not, what I'm seeing is that we're taking a back seat of our own brand and our own brilliance, and we're letting the product or the practice or the
Or
procedure be
or
the
that
magic.
brand, the big brand to kind of
We're letting
outshine.
them take the shine instead of like, no, this is my signature method. Because the truth is, everyone's going to take light lift and put a different spin on it.
Hmm.
And it's going to become, their own little spin. So I think if you're out there listening to me and you're like, first of all, triggered. No, I hope not. But if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I can see what she's saying. The number one thing is just like you are the magic ingredient in your skincare practice. They're coming to get your touch. You don't have any competition. You're the only one who can facilitate the unique transformation that comes from your hands and your voice and your music and your products and your crystals and however you wrap it all up.
Hmm.
That's your unique thing and it's irreplaceable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that kind of the state of the beauty industry, the fact that there is just so much out there is is really the opportunity for professionals to just get super clear. Like, what do you want out of this industry?
And
Like,
create a legacy.
yeah.
Maybe you want to create a legacy. Maybe you want to have some money. Maybe you want to get some cha-chings when you wake up, you see notifications that somebody bought a product from you or somebody bought a digital product.
Mm.
So getting clear and opening up what's possible.
And really opening up what's possible from yourself, because that's really where that's being dampened. It's like, no, me, I can't do that. Like I need a hydrofacial for people to like for credit, like street cred type of thing. And especially with my work with numerology, with this industry, like I had a conversation yesterday with a professional who was, she's a med spa leader, and she was wanting to, she's being interviewed for a very high level position, and she wanted some clarity on her gifts and, you know, about her code. And it allowed her to feel so confident and what, like, because at first she was like, oh, you know, this situation just by dumb luck. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up. Hold, we got to stop here. That was not dumb luck. That was how you're coded,
Mm.
like energetically coded. That came so naturally. That had nothing. Please hear me. That had nothing to do with dumb luck. And so I feel like so many in this industry just need to like somehow lift that shroud off of them because it's lying to them.
Well, I have the answer to it, and it is because when you have an identity, esthetician, we have a label that we are in a group. We are all doing a certain thing, and there's an identity that we have that we are technicians, that
Yes.
we're servers, that then we have the healing aspects of it. So the thing that, well, and then if they don't know that the universe is always supporting us and that there is the synchron and how to get into the synchronicities, that's hurting them. But I think the biggest thing is just the confidence to look at themselves like, wow, I am, because we get taught, especially as women and in the beauty industry, we're not supposed to, what do they call it, the desk that we do our skin at? A vanity.
Yeah.
What do they call when you're a narcissist? Self-centered.
Hmm.
We're not like even just showing up and doing a lot of social media that because I'm attracting my people in right now because our program doesn't actually get started till next month.
Yeah.
I can feel like family members, like my dad said a couple of little things like self-promoting as like kind of look down, like it feels
Mhm.
uncomfortable for us to like own our own magic and mystery and
Huge.
impulse.
It's not been safe
It
to
hasn't
do
been
that.
safe, and that's held at the self-image level. So the
Yes.
first thing that we're going to be doing in the light lift is upgrading the identity of yourself from a technician to
Mm.
stepping into the role of a guide. So you
Yes.
no longer need to have more information than your client. She can have what she can, all you need to know is what she really wants to see when she looks in the mirror.
Hmm.
Three mirrors, ideally,
Yeah.
and powerfully guide her there with your services, some referrals, all the things, and be confident enough to package that and borrow from the coaching industry.
Yes.
Package things like coaches do
Yeah.
because it eases us up when we're not doing one-off facials. We stop taking tips, which is another hot topic. But if you continue to take tips, you continue to stay in the face waitress
Yes.
lane, unfortunately. And
It's the golden handcuffs, right?
it's a
Yeah.
golden heart. It's harder to attract high ticket clients. Now, I want to attract all sorts of clients. I'm always doing free teen mentoring, and behind the scenes, I'm always helping a woman in a battered shelter with things. I don't promote it just because it's my work, but
Hmm.
at the top level, I'm working on a high ticket, high value model because women who invest in themselves tend to get the most out of it.
Well, one thing that I have figured out through my own investing in coaching and working with clients is that when you pay attention.
You pay attention. Now let's get into some word magic just for fun.
Mhm.
Think about the phrase no charge.
Hmm.
No charge.
Interesting.
There's no charge. Woo!
Oh,
That'll get you. So little
ouch.
little things like I'm a guide, so a lot of this could be business masterminding, but instead of like discounting and saying 50% discount, you can have a new client offer
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
savings, but you don't even talk about the savings, right? It's a way of
It's spelling.
communicating.
It's
It's
it's a
spelling.
spell. It's spelling.
Marketing is spelling, and so knowing who your soul client is, it starts with that. Knowing what your gifts are, that's the other side of the infinity symbol.
Yep.
After that, we just open it up and create a little circle for your specific business entity. It's just so nice, Kirsten, when you don't have competition, you
And
don't
it's like when you're doing your own thing, like
do your
yes,
own
that's
thing.
scary because you're on the pointy end of the stick of things, right? Like there's not a lot of people out there and you run the risk of being looked at like you're weird or and all that kind of stuff. But for those of you that are listening, I know that you are aligned. Like if you've listened this far into the conversation, you're one of us. And we
Yes.
can probably have some really fun conversations about like quantum healing and the kind of the quantum field and what can happen when we enter the quantum field. Like all of that. It's just that's
Mm,
where true magic can happen.
mm,
Um, but yes, this is I think that as far as the shifts and changes coming, I'm noticing kind of more and more professionals coming out of the woodwork wanting to still be in the industry, but they're kind of losing their passion for it because it's feeling that flatness about skincare in general, the skincare industry. But so my paid membership, the Soul of Business, that's kind of I created that to be a special safe place for all of us in the beauty and wellness industry who feel like misfits and
mm,
want to kind of align and layer in our spirituality and the energetics and like work with it. Not work with it just when things are crummy and we're having personal crisis, but to actually use it strategically in our business and with our actual client work, like the integration part of heaven and earth. You are
mm,
doing it with your light lift methodology. I'm doing it with business strategy and numerology.
mhm.
I love how this is all working out.
We're leading edge. We're not misfits anymore. We're the leading edge. Somebody was on I have a three mirrors masterclass that people can find in my bio to sign up for free and just get a little taste of the magic. But someone said on the call, she said, I've been on your email list for years. She said, I used to think you were crazy. And she's like, now I'm beginning to wonder if maybe you are right. She's an esthetician. And I thought, it's time.
Yeah, it's time, honey.
Well, and I think that, whatever the little imprint and whisper in your heart when you're touching someone and you're seeing that shift and the wrinkles just melting off their face when they feel safe enough to relax and release, just know that that's very valuable in this new economy. Soft skills of hospitality, listening, bringing presence, creating connections, those are the skills you can get highly paid for. It's something that your AI can never replace. People are overwhelmed. We're taking in as much information in one day that the person 100 years ago took in a lifetime.
Lifetime.
So if you can help her like wade through and guide her to the transformation she really wants to have, you have no cap on your income and
Hmm.
happiness.
Absolutely. It's
So
a game changer for if you're in that kind of place in your career where you're like, is there more? There there
and
must
you
be
don't
more.
need
There
to
is
connect.
more.
And the thing that I'm seeing, one last thing is the thing that I'm seeing is they're getting burnt out, but they're going and learning subconscious reprogramming or another technique. They're
Modality.
learning or a new coaching thing, or they're getting certified in going to B school, or they're doing all these things. But then that just adds up that they're like, oh my God, I don't want to be a coach. Like it's not all coming together. So the light lift kind of brings all the things that you know how to do, and it teaches you how to package it into like a seasonal transformation for your client, and just gets you right off that wheel. But you don't have to quit aesthetics. You can actually just transform
No, yeah,
practice without even getting the state board involved. Like you don't have to do anything out of scope. It's just you being more powerful.
absolutely. Ugh, I'm so glad that you have shifted your direction from consumer, from like business to
Yeah.
consumer to B2B, because you and I actually recorded a podcast in the fall. And we talked about this, and you were telling me about your light lift program, but at the time you were only doing it to consumers. And I was like, girl, I'm running into so many estheticians who like they don't know where to go to get like energetic training for skin and you're like, oh, I don't know. And then the podcast didn't record properly. So it was not meant to actually go that direction because you got a hold of we reconnected in the new year, like, so things have changed.
Yeah, that is about listening to your business entity, everybody. So when everything else stops working, you know that you're being guided somewhere else.
Hmm.
I couldn't do the thing, like I still sell products and I have an automatic, like I have a Shopify site. That's the other thing we're doing in Light Lift is I'm supporting you in the private label you already have, or to create your own with
Hmm.
the top ingredients that are out there, not just slapping your label on something.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing. But I still sell products. People buy products from me when I'm sleeping. That is on automatic. But all the other stuff I was doing for the consumer, I was facing like, oh, they don't know how LED light works, or oh, they don't know this. And then working with Monica, when I realized it was literally turned me on to work with her. Like I was just like, oh,
This is so easy.
I love
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh. Okay, I'm listening now. I could have probably opened up my ears to this maybe 5 years ago, but I didn't have the whole thing created.
No,
So
no.
now it's a whole universe, and we're creating a new coalition. Whether or not anybody ever signs up with me, I want to let everyone know that I have a really open DM policy. You're welcome to pop in and ask me questions or anything. I'm just really here for the mission and the magic and the miracles.
You are. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Where can people slide into your DMs?
I'm at the dot Skintessa.
Okay, on Instagram. And
Instagram.
also you're on TikTok as well, same.
I've got a pretty big TikTok, and I'm going to
Yeah.
start doing more things over on TikTok. But TikTok is more of my personal story, and I don't really monetize or talk about business too much on TikTok right now, which people,
But I think if somebody like if a spa professional is wanting to get an idea about like how your light lift and your concept and your philosophy shows up in they
I
could go
think
on TikTok.
actually, I think going to my website is best, and it's
Okay.
higherselfbeauty.com, and it also is the skintessa.com, but it's higherselfbeauty.com. That is my business entity. And my website is a wealth of information. I actually have a free course that estheticians are welcome to join, so they get a little taste of how I actually guide my clients. And I have a blogs, there's YouTube. TikTok is probably good too if you want to know some of my more interesting points of views. I'm a little bit more free over there. And then Instagram has got all of like the really good like businessy businessy stuff. But yeah,
Good.
I'm all over the place, and I'm just open for the conversation. And like I said, you're going to be a bonus for everybody signing up. I'm only taking 8 women this round. Doors close on February 14th in 2025. After that, I'll probably just open it up to people coming in when it works for them after I really get this first group started. But the
Yep.
first group, I'm just pouring into.
Mm,
Like my brain is just open for
for all of
all the
them.
ideas. I mean, in fact, this is one last thing is I think it's because I live in this magical little town and I'm alone a lot. I
Mm.
get huge downloads and I have notebooks full of things. A lot of times I've downloaded taglines and ideas that were never for me.
I
Like
do you have I you I've seen pictures of where you live and I kind of feel like you've got a lot of fairy energy around you.
I live in actual fairy land, and the spa. the she shed that all the magic happened into, that's now a top rated, top 5% Northern California Airbnb called the Little River Love Shack.
Oh, cute.
And there's just tons of fairies. But yeah, I get ideas for people. So the first eight are just going to have my eyes on their brand in every
Nice.
single way. And
Oh, high touch.
essentially they're getting my system, they're learning the system, they get to teach the system, they learn how to do we're going to help them create their own signature soul service
Oh, so good.
using the light lift methodology, but instead of these whatever facials people are calling things, I don't know what the things are right now, but instead of that, there's a signature soul service that only they do.
Right.
That's kind of the main thing. And then yeah, we'll be making a product line or amplifying an existing product line. And we're going to be doing energetic activations once a month where everybody's going to have a take a turn facilitating the group. So we're going to be really learning how to work virtually, sort of replacing ourselves with some online activity, getting some digital meditations
Mhm.
recorded, things that people can buy that aren't about your hands touching them. And
Yeah.
then really teaching how to position yourself as, yes, that
It's a
touch, not
healer. It's
touch,
a
healer,
healer.
the
It's just,
healer.
it's like we gotta crack out of the old aesthetics box.
We got it. I have a slide from years ago, and it was like, are you cutting off your arms and legs to fit into the clown car of aesthetics?
Wow.
Which was then softened to, you got to open up the lid on the beauty box.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank you so much for joining me and taking time to have this conversation. It was super rich, and I feel very grateful um, to have reconnected with you because you and I have kind of orbited each other and it just hasn't been the right timing. And it feels like the right timing. Like both you and I have had done our stuff on our own, and we've come together to share our expertise on energetics, aspects that
yeah, it's a
will,
constellation. Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Wonderful. All right. Thanks again, Amy, for joining me.
Bye.